We have developing news from the Pentagon. That raid more than a month ago, in which 2 Navy SEALs died, has yielded new information about Iranian weapons shipments and led to charges from the Department of Justice. David Martin reports from the Pentagon.
The 4 were arrested after Navy SEALs boarded this vessel off the coast of Somalia and found missile parts, including a warhead, the U.S. says were being smuggled from Iran to the Houthis in Yemen. 2 Navy SEALs, Petty Officers Chris Chambers and Gage Ingram, were lost at sea while attempting to board in rough seas. The boarding occurred last month on the same date the U.S. and Britain launched its first round of strikes against Houthi targets in Yemen, strikes which have yet to put an end to attacks against commercial shipping.
We've certainly seen in the past 48, 72 hours, an increase in attacks from the Houthis.
The criminal complaint, unsealed today, says the 4 suspects carried Pakistani identification cards and that the alleged captain of the crew had a satellite phone on which he communicated with a member of Iran's Revolutionary Guards. After the vessel was searched and its cargo of missile parts discovered, the crew was taken aboard the USS Puller and transferred to jail in Richmond, Virginia. 4 charged with crimes and 8 others held as material witnesses. The U.S. Coast Guard has since intercepted another ship carrying arms to Yemen.
We know that the Houthis maintain a large arsenal. They are very capable. They have sophisticated weapons, and that's because they continue to get them from Iran.
And David Martin joins us from the Pentagon. David, I want to start with Iran and what might have been learned here. Obviously, the U.S. knows that Iran supplies the Houthis, but did they learn anything more from this, either about their techniques or about how much they're still doing, even after they've been trying to sort of distance themselves from the Houthis?
Well, I certainly learned a lot from reading the criminal complaint. The captain, or the alleged captain of this vessel, told the FBI that he was simply given a course to follow from a port in Iran to a point off the coast of Somalia, at which place the cargo, and he claimed not to know what the cargo was going to be transferred to another vessel, which presumably would take it into Yemen. He had a satellite phone, and the investigators went into that phone and they found that he had received 4 phone calls during that transit from a member of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, who was presumably the official who was coordinating this shipment. But, John, if you look at the pictures of what they seized, that was not a large arms shipment. And the way the Houthis have been firing missiles into the Red Sea, that probably wouldn't last a day. Mm-hmm. So there are clearly many, many, many more shipments that are getting through. The DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, said recently that between 2015 and 2023, the U.S. and its partners intercepted 18 shipments going from Iran to Yemen. And that surely represents only a very small percentage of the total traffic.
And what happens now to these suspects that are in custody?
Well, they made their initial court appearance today to be arraigned. Next week, they will have a detention hearing to decide whether they get out on bail. You can count on the government arguing that they are a flight risk and they are unlikely to make bail. Then they'll simply remain in custody until one of 2 things happens: their trial date arrives, or else they reach some kind of guilty plea with the government. Either way, they are facing prison time. But let's be clear here. They are not charged with causing the murder of those 2 Navy SEALs or the deaths of those 2 Navy SEALs. They are charged with smuggling arms and lying about it once they were caught.
David Martin with the latest details for us from the Pentagon. Thank you so much, David.